Doug in Florida, you're up.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Greg. Absolutely tremendous. Another late bloomer here, though I'm
Awesome.
a couple years north of you, but some parallels between us aside from our biceps. Um,
We'll get
you,
20 flexes in on this call.
yeah, I'm stopping there though. I don't want to make others jealous. But you, my friend, and I, the parallels are really just for me personally eerie in that I started my late blooming around the same age and I exited from the same industry, though my book of business was this big. I didn't have any equity in the firm, but I was middle market PNC,
Hmm.
Marsh McLennan agency down here in
Yeah.
South Florida. I was so freaking miserable. I didn't even know how miserable I was. And I ended up not taking your advice on this call, but it got to the point where I was like, peace out. I cannot do this anymore. And I sort of exited um, without an exit strategy. But that's really where all of my growth to date has started. Blessing it's been. That being said, and I'll drop the link in the chat here. I listened to an awesome dialogue that you had, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I think it's with Scott Danner.
Scott Danner, yes.
You guys, I'll drop the link in there. It's on YouTube for anybody that wants to check it out. I thought you guys had an amazing back and forth. And one thing that was maybe toward the end of it, and I would love for you to speak to the group about, because this is all about community and relationships, is a quote. I think you said like transcend the transaction and how you view relationships, maybe how that's played out in your life. I would love to hear more about that.
Sure. Yeah, it's about this and one I'll say this about exiting or quitting or all that, just so I think there's some clarity on that. Look, if you can afford to do it, if there are problems, if we've reached a breaking point or a tipping point, mental health wise, stability wise, quality wise, and you can afford to do it, you've got that spot. Absolutely. Where I was, and I see a lot of guys come to me and what we talk about is, okay, let's set the table first. Here's what you want to do, or I know what you want to do. Now the question becomes, can you? We talked about the why earlier in there, knowing your why. I get the why. A lot of us get the why we want to be better husbands, why we want to be better fathers, why we want to be better mothers, why we want to be better providers, why we want to quit the job. Where we focus is on the how. Okay, now we've gotten the why, the question is how. And if you can leave Marsh and you can afford it, you can take the time, you can breathe, it's better, and then you can work your next phase one, absolutely. What I just realized at my time was I was not in a position to do that. I would have sacrificed I would have given everything up that I had worked so hard for. I would have sacrificed the equity. My kids were at a certain position, all of this. So it was like, okay, how do we not screw this up and kind of get to the end? But there are things that needed to change. When you talk about transcending, for me, it was that intersection of what I was looking for was, could I find some place where I could combine personal passion with professional expertise? That was always what was missing. And even in our business, if we just use insurance where we both spent time for years, I chased a lot of premium for a while. I did the show. I got up and got dressed and played the part and went out there to the ship channel and did the big ball bearing company, and there's oil and gas in Houston and I did it, there. And I chased a lot of premium. Because of that, I made a lot of personal sacrifices. I didn't have I built relationships, but they weren't great relationships even with clients because we weren't very like-minded individuals. I was taking them to the games, I was doing the dinners, I was playing all the parts, but I'd come home and I'd be like, I need a bigger glass, like, where's the tequila? Like this was, and then I started burning the candle at both ends because I was doing this role all day and all night. And then I was trying to change my life by waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and exercising. And again, burning the candle at both ends didn't work. So you change your mindset and you change your life. What I realized at a certain point was, I can insure anything. And these guys, my partners, the other 8 of us, they can't tell me what to insure. As a matter of fact, I got away from what they originally brought me in for. And what we originally partnered on was I should just go open up new doors and different doors in there. So I said, again, what's important to me? Go back to my 6 F's. And even at the time in the industry was like, what do I like to do? I like to eat, drink, and work out. And I don't mean alcohol drinking. Like at that point, it was like supplements and protein shakes. I'm like, these are the things I'm really into. So what if I go after ensuring those types of businesses? And in a 3-year period, I started changing who I approached. And I went after companies that I love. I went after CrossFit, for example. I went after like big fitness equipment manufacturers and consumer products goods companies. And I loved Siete chips. And I drove to Austin and I'm like, I want to be your insurance guy. I eat your chips every day. And I started anything that I had a passion for and was really interested in. I went after that. And as I started signing those people, because we lived a similar lifestyle, showing up in workout clothes, inviting them to work out with me, or they invited me to work out with them or have breakfast. All these things were aligned. Nothing was surprising anymore. And we were better fit for each other than who they were currently using. And in our business, you know this, in order to get hired, somebody's got to get fired. That's just the truth. You want to land $1 million account? Somebody has that $1 million account. Who's going to take it? So when I started going after the right prospects, the right accounts, the right type of people, it actually got easier. My book got bigger. And then the other ones fell off. I got fired by a bunch of clients too, who are like, hey, you're not taking me to concerts anymore. You're not saying yes to drinks. You're not doing that. You're right. It doesn't fit into my operating system anymore. You're good people. You're great clients. You're everything. But I'm going to hand you over to Jacob, if that's cool. Jacob's a unbelievable producer here. Jacob has a 0 handicap. Jacob loves to try. Like, Jacob's your guy. Or like, you should move on because I'm not your guy anymore. And over a 3-year period, we went like this, trading, a multi-million-dollar book of business under certain industries, right down in here into the valley of despair. This is never going to work. How am I going to do this? I just screwed myself completely into building a bigger book of business with clients and individuals and people who we had a genuine fit, and those became unbreakable bonds. And now that I'm not in that industry anymore, most of those guys have become their friends and their clients of mine now. They go, we've been waiting for you to do this for 20 years.